So, welcome back again to the demo room here in Kista. I hope you're starting to get familiar with seeing my face. Today we will be having a webinar about intelligence at the edge in the Bosch cameras. We are having several different views on how to do this, but what I will do today is to make a very short presentation, and then me and Jimmy, who will be my co-driver here today, will make some demonstrations. So that is also the plan for today. It will be approximately 30-35 minutes, the webinar we have today. So, Jimmy, you could say hi to the audience.
Hello.
And today you will be doing some demonstrations and some programming, and I will be the guinea pig running around and trying to activate what you have been doing.
Correct.
Good. So you will be sitting there and I will be walking.
Yes.
That fits perfect. So, going back to the actual topic about intelligence at the edge, this is something we have been doing for quite a long time. When it comes to the way of how we do this, we started a long time ago to add the structure into the video at the edge. The one of you who have seen the previous session of fixed cameras and moving cameras, you have already seen parts of this one. But we do it on the edge in the camera to have the best image information to create the metadata that we need to do this. So the information is processed, analyzed, and the decision is made in the camera. Then what we do, and you will see examples of this one later with Jimmy, is that you're able to do the search in the recorded material as well. So metadata is the topic, and I will get back to that one in a few sentences. But I will start by playing my favorite video that has been going around for many, many years. It's actually created in 2016 by me and a previous colleague to me that was out in the forest making some demonstrations videos of intelligent video analytics in, I think, in 2016 it was, 3rd of March. It was pretty cold. And we did some testings with the new algorithm that was just released in our 8000 Starlight cameras. And what you can see here is that we have a camera that is quite unstable. It's shaking, it's vibrating, it's quite a lot of wind, and we have one object moving around in the terrain. Regardless of that one, the camera is able to generate the alarms, not creating false alarms, and doing this in pretty different lighting environments, because it's quite dark here. It's 10 to 6 in March in 2016, so it's pretty dark outside. So this video has been around for a while, but I still think it's very representative and illustrating for what we can do with video analytics today. I would also like to show you another video that one of my colleagues, Esa, did in Finland. I'm pretty bad at Finnish, so I made some Google translation to trying to understand what the text actually is saying. It's about cars in intersections and people in the area. What you can see here is that we have a solution that is not just doing classification of the objects with people and cars. You can see different alarm areas, you will see lines, and you will also see directions of what the camera can do. So it's counting, it's keeping track of all the objects, and at a certain point you will see the guy walking out in the street, and you will have an alarm created when a person is in an area that person is not supposed to be in. Cars are okay, but not the person. So that is a way of having the same camera using different types of classification to be able to do completely different tasks. And at the same time, the camera is generating metadata to create the counting for all information to be used for other purposes. And that brings me to the next topic, other purposes. The cameras are today really good at catching a thief at the fence, but we're also generating this metadata to be able to give you the search opportunities and also to create different values for businesses that is not just security. This will be mentioned a bit more in other webinars coming up later, and today the focus is really on the essential analytics and the intelligent ones, but I would like to give you a brief information about this one as well. Sorry for all of you who have seen this video a couple of times before, but I really like it as well. What I would like to use it for is to show you briefly about this metadata. The metadata is generated in the camera. It's containing all the raw information of movement, information, histogram, colors, positioning, and all the things that you can use to create an alarm in the camera that Jimmy will demonstrate later. But it's also these things that will give you the possibility to do the search of all these topics afterwards. Even if you made an alarm, if a gray car should be parked in this area when you set up the system, you can afterwards, 2 months later, if you have the recorded material, try to find, and you will see and can make searches of, for example, yellow cars that is parked in this area. Or if you have a person that should be walking or trespassing through the street, you will have the ability to search for that one. It doesn't matter what you create as an alarm initially. If you have the metadata stored, you can completely change the search pattern you would like to use. So that is what we call forensic search within Bosch. More about that one later because Jimmy will demonstrate it as well. We are differentiating, as you have seen now in the presentations of fixed and moving cameras, between essential analytics, intelligent analytics, and the part that we are calling camera trainer. Camera trainer is the feature you will have when you buy a camera that has intelligent video analytics, because the extra performance in the components in the camera will give us the opportunity to create this machine learning in the camera with camera trainer. So that's a really nice solution, and that will also be a separate webinar about that one. What I would like to show you is also the interesting point of this PDF file. We have a very nice PDF file. It's a clickable one that contains all the information about the different types of video clips that you will use as demonstrations. What you also see here right now is a way and a link to our apps and tools on our webpage where you can find this clickable PDF. You can just scan the QR code and you will go there immediately. If you don't have the time to do this, you can always search for the Bosch apps and tools link and you will find it there as well. So scanning the QR code is really quick and simple and will bring you to the core place to find the apps and tools from Bosch. And that's also the place where you can find this clickable PDF. So just wrapping up a little bit about the cameras and the essential and the intelligent video analytics. Essential video analytics starts in the 3000i series. It's really there from the entry-level series with intelligence at the edge, with a full-blown feature set, creating the metadata in the camera. And it goes all the way up to, for the fixed cameras, the 8000i. That is probably the highest performance camera of the fixed ones when it has intelligent video analytics and also the camera trainer. If we stretch over to the moving cameras, we have even more high performance cameras when it comes to the metal Mickeys, but I will take that one in a separate session as well. So that was the part of the, let's call it boring PowerPoint, the pre-recorded videos and something that we have prepared. Now it's a bit different. We would like to start doing a demonstration. The demonstration is always a bit of a walk on a thin ice, but me and Jimmy, we're happy to have our colleague Johan here as well today. So he will help us and being the guinea pig, so I don't have to go out and walk and Jimmy can sit behind the computer. So hopefully this will be pretty interesting. Just a very short recap. What we did previously in the other sessions, that was talking about the project assistant tool and the Bosch remote portal. During these sessions, we created a customer and we showed you how to connect the system to the remote portal. And what we would do now is to use the same accounts that we did the last time. I will use the iPad just to show you briefly what we did. We had this project assistant tool. We created a project called Customer A. This customer that you can see today will be used for the setup of having a customer who would like to increase his solution by also doing video analytics as the intrusion solution for his lounge. This lounge that you can see now in the configuration part is also available for this customer in his project tool in the PC that Jimmy has on his side, and it's also available for him to watch on the video security client on his iPad. So what we're going to do now is to take customer A as the previous one we did. We also see customer B that we did yesterday. And on this camera, we will add some task to do intrusion on a camera. So by that, I would like to go over to the demo part. And the demo part is equally to coming up with Jimmy's computer on the side. The task we will have here today is pretty normal for a standard setup. You have a camera, you would like to have a information or an alarm on an event if somebody's coming into your premises. So we will use this camera mounted outside here in our lounge. Jimmy will create a few tasks, but we will start by using the configuration manager connected through the remote portal. So Jimmy, if you take over the responsibility and display your computer, please.
Yes, you can now see the configuration manager, and I am connected through the remote portal. When we did the setup with the Project Assistant app, we did add a height to add the calibration to the camera. It also uses the sensors in the camera, so you don't need to draw any lines and do any measurements in the video. So now the camera is calibrated, and if you're not happy with the calibration, you can load sensor values if they are not displaying the correct ones.
Yes, and Jimmy, right now you could be the engineer, the technician sitting in your office doing this completely remotely.
Yes.
Yeah. So that is really nice. You also see here the customer A and customer B, the one I was showing you on the iPad. So it's really a way of using this in an environment of a complete solution where you have a big deployment of solutions and systems. So should we go over to the camera itself and try to create some IVA tasks? Because this is an IVA camera.
Yes, so you find the IVA part in the VCA menu. And first you see the main operation, you change to profile 1 and you go over to tasks.
Yeah, and why we have profile 1? Because we have two different profiles in the camera. So you can actually have two completely different programs of the same camera of your IVA tasks or your EVA tasks, regardless if it's the different tasks you're going to use, line crossing, object counting, object in field, or whatever. You can have two different profiles, one for example for days, one for evenings, or one for weekends, or completely different settings. So two different profiles are available in the camera.
Yes. And for this example, I will remove detect any object, but when the camera is factory default, it will detect anything in the video. Now we'll create a new task, and here we see all the tasks we have: object in field, crossing line, we have loitering, condition change, following route, tampering, removed object, idle object, entering field, leaving field, and you have crowd detection, counter, and occupancy.
All these different tasks you can create and combine into different settings. You can have different tools, different settings, different tasks in the same camera, up to 16 at the same time. And when you do this, you can also combine them into the different profiles you have for your cameras. If you have a moving camera, you can have 16 different tasks in 16 different fixed positions. But we will mention more about that one when we have the separate webinar about the MIC 9000i. So back to you again, Jimmy, about the tasks.
Yes, so now I am selecting crossing line, and I will name the alarm backside, and pressing next, and I can draw a line where I want it to be triggered. I can use object base point, which we also call footprint. You can also set the direction of the alarm here, and then I go to next. Here I can select upright persons, but I will leave this alone. And here we can also set filters of the height of the object, the width, the area, aspect ratio. We can also set speed and directions of the objects.
Yes, all these filters that are really nice to use in different types of environments will be covered in detail in our trainings that are available through our learning management system that is also capable of being reached by our website. So if you would like to know more about all these filters and how to set up the camera in details, please join one of our trainings from our LMS site.
Yes, so now I press next, and I can also set colors, but I want to detect any color for this alarm. And I press finish. Now I have created one task for the door if someone walks in.
Great. So, Jimmy, I think you and I have done our part now. I've been talking, you've been working. So, Johan,
Yes.
being the janitor of today, being the guy who will test this alarm task, please get out there on the backside and see what we can do. So, in the same time as Johan is taking a walk outside, he will just go around the corner and go around, so he comes out on the backside. I will tell you very briefly about how to a normal type of setup you do in a situation like this. If we look at this specific scene into the lounge that we have, so Jimmy, if you can add that picture again, please, on the lounge. That one is really kind of a typical solution where you have a couple of different typical entry points into your premises. And this also means that you can create different types of tasks. For example, crossing a line, crossing multiple lines, making an area inside in the room where you are allowed to be or not to be. This is just a standard kind of thing that you can do in the camera setup. And as you have 16 different tasks in parallel, you can do a lot of interesting things if you need to do special things when it comes to how an object is coming into the room or leaving a room, to make sure that you don't get any false alarms or events. We will also very soon show you how it looks like when we're able to search for this. But now, apparently, Johan has walked around the house and is coming into the premises. So what you can see is that Johan is being triggered as a person, he's being classified, and as soon as his base point equals its feet, is entering and passing the line, he will generate the standard alarm. Really simple.
Yes.
We can make this how complicated you would like to, but these ones are usually simple enough to get exactly what you want. That is just one way of creating a task. Jimmy, perhaps you could show also how to create the object in area, because it's really simple and also a very useful and typical type of task we're using in the cameras.
Then again, I press on the plus sign. This time I select object in field. I can of course name this field as well if I want to. Press next, and here I will actually put up a field and not use the whole view. And I can set a field with a lot of different nodes to make it very specific for the area.
Exactly. And Jimmy, all the settings for this field, it's completely unique. So you don't need to take into consideration the one you did for your line crossing. This is starting from the beginning using different filters, different settings, and different objects.
Correct.
Yeah. I will not have you one running around again testing it, because I'm pretty sure this one will work. Instead, I would like to go over to the next part of the demonstration today, and that is to search for all the information we have in the actual metadata feed. So what we will do now is we will show you and demonstrate how to search for an object afterwards that was not defined when we did the alarm task. So right now, over again, back to you, Jimmy, and let's do the forensic search part.
So now I am in the BVMS Operator client. I am in playback mode. I will add the camera, and now you see the camera from the launch, and I am able to do forensic search. I can mark on the timeline where I want to search for this and go to the forensic search menu.
As we're looking into record material, we can already see that without setting up any task, the previous pre-configured task that was called detect any objects, that is the default of the camera, already detected Johan when he was walking before we did the session. So what we will see right now is the possibility to change that default settings into whatever we would like. So Jimmy, I don't think it's so funny to do the line crossing or object in field again, so let's try something else.
Okay. I can make a new field. I can name it as well here. And I can put a field where we saw you only walking.
And what you probably already noticed, it's exactly the same setting in the forensic search as when you do the alarm task setting. So it doesn't matter. If you know how to set up an alarm task in a Bosch camera, you know how to set up the forensic search. So it's really the same process. It's the same objects, it's the same filters, it's the same settings. So it's so simple. If you know how to do it, either the forensic or the task, you can just switch between them and do it in the same way.
Yes, so now I have created a field. I will again press next, and for this instance I will not use any classifications and no filters. I will just search for anything in this area. I will turn off detect any object and press the search button, and I got 16 hits. So now we can see on the timeline that we have white marks where there is detection. We can also see results with 9 timestamps where we have an alarm.
Exactly. So this also means that now we have made a general setting about all objects that came into this specific area. If we now would like to narrow down the search, we're not going to do this right now because we don't have enough time. We have to end this seminar very soon. You could start adding filters like color. You can add filters like speed. So if you, for example, would like to see if Johan was wearing a blue shirt and if Johan was running, I don't think we will see Johan running here today, that might be things that you would like to add in your search criteria. So start using the forensic search as a very nice way of finding the information you needed without knowing it in advance. That's a very nice tool to have. Those were pretty much the things we would like to demonstrate today. We will be coming back again when it comes to video analytics when we do the thermal cameras, both the Dinian thermal camera and the MIC 9000i. We will come back again and we will perhaps even show you some real-life detection from outdoor environments when it comes to the metal Mickey. Apart from that one, I hope you enjoyed this webinar. If you would like to know more about this and look into all the different settings and possibilities, please go into our learning management system and sign up for these trainings because it's tremendous and you got a lot of information there. By that, Jimmy, Johan, thank you very much from us. Thank you to you who listened to us and had this nice opportunity as well to sit down and relax and have a bit of a webcast. So stay safe, stay tuned in, and let's see you soon in another webinar. Thank you.